All right, good afternoon, everyone in the Nosh. Please continue eating your lunch or whatever you're doing. But my name is Dr. Mindy Dilly, she, her, hers. I'm the Director of Student Involvement. And I also serve as the faculty or staff advisor for the SGA, Student Government Association. So we're actually hosting Treasurer Debate and Vice President Debate today. They are being recorded, will be posted later if you kind of missed part of it. That will be on there. I'm going ad lib and then I forget where I'm at. So the Student Government Association represents over 16,000 students, work with UMSL's administration, faculty, and staff to advocate for student needs. They are part of some of the most important decisions the campus makes. The treasurer of SGA, Student Government Association, also chairs the Student Activity Budget Committee, or SABC, which allocates up to $80,000 in academic year. So being informed of your vote is especially important. The treasurer of SGA, after today's debate, we hope that you'll better understand the candidates and what they stand for. Rachel's gonna, thanks Rachel, yeah. We didn't get a mic for the table, that was my bad, we'll fix that for tomorrow. She's gonna kind of come up, introduce herself, share the flow of today and a few little tidbits, and then we'll be down at the table. All right.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday.
Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
We're all a struggle.
All right, my name is Rachel Thompson, and I'm the Guest Relations Manager for MSC Operations and Event Services. I will also be acting as your moderator for the SGA Treasurer Debate and Vice President Debate. This is close to my heart as a former SGA Senator and Director of Communications. Circa 2017 to 2019, way back when. Before we get started, I'd like to go over how SGA voting will take place next week and go over how today's debate will be formatted. So all voting will take place on Triton Connect. You can log into your Triton Connect account and there will be a link for the Student Government Association on the homepage. Voting will be open starting this upcoming Monday, April 22nd at 5 in the morning, and it will close at 11:55 p.m. on Friday, April 26th. So the two candidates for SGA Treasurer are Grace Desjardins and Zach Lent. They will each have a chance to introduce themselves in just a moment. One candidate will be asked a question. They'll be given 3 minutes to respond to it. And then the other candidate will then have the chance to answer the same question with a 2-minute time limit. Questions for today's debate were gathered from the current members of SGA, as well as the general student bodies. Candidates' responses to all questions must stay focused on what they hope to achieve in the position and strategies they hope will improve the campus. No comments about the opponent, their character, or the experiences should be made, and the candidate should focus on how they hope to make the campus better. Sound good, candidates? All right, let's get started.
Grace, you want to introduce yourself first?
Right now.
Yeah.
Hello, Tritons. My name is Grace Desjardins, and I am a current Student Government Association Senator, and I am also our current SGA Assembly Speaker, so you can kind of recognize me as the face of the Assembly. I'm also the current president of the Political Science Academy, a nonpartisan political education organization here at UMSL. And I am also UMSL's current undergraduate representative for the Associate Students of the University of Missouri, which is a UM system lobbying organization to increase campus visibility. And I am also our soon-to-be president for that student organization. And furthermore, I am the current treasurer of Pride Alliance, which was formerly known as PRISM. But at my core, I am an UMSL student, and I am a student of Missouri higher education in the UM system.
Hello, my name is Zachary Lentz. I am a sophomore here at UMSL. And I am the current treasurer of the SGA, the Student Government Association. Pleased to be with you all.
All right, everybody, we are going to begin the debate. Grace, you will start and you will have 3 minutes to answer this following question. What motivated you to run for the position of vice president? And what specific goals do you hope to achieve if elected?
Thank you, Rachel. Just for everyone listening in, that was my motivation to run and my specific goals if elected.
Thank you.
So my core of my motivation actually comes from a narrative that myself as a student has heard many times on this campus, and that is that student involvement is low because students do not want to be involved on campus. But that narrative is false. It is not your fault. There is a difficult time to sort of navigate ourselves as students and as student organizations to navigate resources, OSI procedures, Wise Up Wednesday procedures, and a lot of other things. It's difficult to navigate. And for this, I see a lot of students who feel very isolated and who feel like there's no space for them to belong or to live up to their full student quality of life. So my motivation runs to make sure that student visibility is heard and that students understand how to receive funding for events and that funding stems from fairness and cooperation from a team on the SABC committee, which I would be the chairman of. I have quite a few specific goals if I am to be elected treasurer, but when I was making these goals, I wanted to ensure that they are not only realistic, but they are fair and very attainable. The first one, it's a bit crazy coming out of the gate. Mindy, you're gonna freak out.
Oh, gosh.
I really am excited to announce that I want to streamline the SABC process submission from being a requirement of 4 weeks prior to 2 weeks prior. It's not impossible. This would just mean more consistent meetings. And there is a piece of transparency that we as the SABC committee and executive officers of SGA need to share. We get paid to be in this position. So if we have every process of finding events for organizations, which would include catering, which would include finding room reservations, all be the same time period, student organizations are going to feel like that is more accessible, like it's more achievable, and it's easier to understand because as we know, funding is very difficult as is. Another one is I want to enhance support for Triton Pantry, which is a pantry located actually over there in the first floor. Some things I have noticed is that there is oftentimes a lack of volunteers. So I want to implement a requirement for every senator, every officer, and every executive board officer in SGA to have volunteer required hours. I also want to develop a comprehensive transition manuals for all upcoming student organizations so they understand how to receive SABC funding, navigate OSI requirements, and I also want to create student-led committees for minority and student concern visibilities. I want to emphasize that those are student-led, so the students have the voice and can represent themselves fully.
Thank you, Grace. Zach, you now have 2 minutes to respond to the same question, and I can repeat it for you. What motivated you to run for the position of vice president and treasurer? Treasurer, and what specific goals do you hope to achieve if elected?
My treasure journey started out with Alex and Max, the president and vice president, coming up to me one day at lunch, and they said they were looking for the position to be filled, and I said, why not? Why not try something new? It looks good on a resume, so I thought, why not? But someone that's always motivated me, I would say, my cousin Hudson. He's always pushing me to be the best person I can be. And I really want to make him proud. And he's a fantastic leader, a few years older than me. So he's lived through some of the things I'm walking through right now. And yeah, I really appreciate this guidance. And another thing, if you told me I would be in this position right now a few years ago, I would think you're out of your mind because this is completely out of my comfort zone. If you knew me before college, this would never be an option for me. But yeah, I'm happy I'm here and I'm happy I'm learning more. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Zach. So this next question is going to go to you, and you'll have 3 minutes to reply. As treasurer, you will be responsible for managing the finances of the Student Government Association as well as chairing the Student Activity Budget Committee, SABC. What experience or skills do you have that makes you qualified for this role? You have 3 minutes.
Well, as the current treasurer, I, saw this, got to experience this firsthand, and I think I learned a lot. Every other Monday, me and, or my committee and we, talk about what's going on, what organizations are needing money, and we try our best to, converse and figure out the best, who to give the money to, essentially. And, this year, we funded 185 events for a total of $50,000. So they're doing a very good job with that.
Awesome, thank you, Zach. Grace, you now have 2 minutes to supply your answer. As treasurer, you'll be responsible for managing the finances of the Student Government Association and chairing the Student Activity Budget Committee, SABC. What experience or skills do you have that make you qualified for this role?
Thank you, Rachel, and that is my experience and skills to everyone listening. So I want to start off with a actual historic vote that we had in the fall pertaining to the UM system, specifically the Associated Students of the University of Missouri. It has been a very consistent ideology that unsold funding is often decreased to give money to other UM system schools like Mizzou and UMKC. I came in with the board of directors in the fall at our fall board retreat for ASA, where we had a historic vote to bring back visibility to unsold funding. And we secured our vote and also secured Missouri S&T's vote to ensure that our funding would not be decreased and not reduced. So that's just one thing. Thank you.
I love this.
Also, I am the current treasurer of Pride Alliance, and this has been a huge learning opportunity for me. Coming into this organization, it was very clear that my fellow officers, who are amazing by the way, they did not understand how to manage finances or request funding through SABC. We had watched the videos, we did everything we were supposed to do, but there is no transparent guidelines. So it was a lot of self-teaching, which I then carried on to my fellow officers so they could learn for themselves. So we developed a funding transition manual, something I want to implement for the entire SGA. But it was a really good experience to be able to show people how it works in an easy and effective way. I'm also on the Student Affairs Committee, and one of the things that we do on that committee is we look at we gain insight into campus-wide issues, specifically financial considerations. We deal with a lot of new student organizations that will be coming into play. And one of the things I want to highlight is I am a registered lobbyist for the Oregon Project, which is an anti-poverty campaign located right outside of St. Louis. And my entire job is to navigate funding for areas that need it the most, specifically metropolitan St. Louis. So receiving and navigating funding for areas that need it the most is something I'm already doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. This next question is for you, or you will start, and you'll have 3 minutes. So, fundraising can play a vital role in supplementing the budget of student government. What strategies do you propose to generate additional revenue for student events and initiatives?
Thank you, and that is fundraising initiatives for everyone listening. So the first question I want to ask back to the students is, where is our fundraising initiatives that we have right now on campus? Because I have not seen many, and I'm sure you have not either, unless you are in philanthropy and Greek life. One thing I want to point out is that we are in St. Louis, Missouri. This is an extremely opportunistic city. And one of the things that I feel we have not done good enough is collaborate with local businesses. If we can forge partnerships with local businesses to sponsor student events and initiatives in exchange for promotional opportunities and visibility on campus, we are not only making a financially effective situation for ourselves, but also for local businesses in our St. Louis community. Another thing we need to start utilizing more is alumni outreach. All of that construction going on, that's because we're making an alumni building, so why not utilize them and their resources? If we can leverage alumni connections and loyalty to the university, we are going to further find that they want students to be involved and they want to give that funding to student involvement. Another thing, as I'm going to touch on again, is system lobbying. I already do this to secure money for UMSL specifically in the system. But there are connections that you need to know about, specifically President Munchoy of the system. If you lobby and you have those partnerships with those individuals like Munchoy or the Missouri Board of Curators, you're going to establish partnerships where they can finally see the student's point of view and understand the funding and the amount of funding that our university needs. The reason why we have not seen that is because we have not had that partnership. It starts with us, as unfortunate as that sounds. But if we can get our name out there to the people in charge, they will listen. I have one more. If we want to talk about specific fundraising events, think of a little bit more of a fun answer. Why have we not done any benefit concerts? I'm ready to see some. I've seen them at Mizzou, UMKC, SMT. I've seen them at SLU, WashU, Maryville. They're a good cause for students and students to experience a lot of, this is St. Louis. This is the heart of rock and roll. This is an area where music thrives. There are bands that would do this just for visibility. So let's think smart. Let's not think hard. We can do this. We just have to put our feet in the water and make those partnerships.
Thank you, Grace. Zach, have 2 minutes for your response, and I will repeat the question. Fundraising can play a vital role in supplementing the budget of the student government. What strategies do you propose to generate additional revenue for student events and initiatives?
Well, since this is one of the first years since after COVID, as SGA is becoming a bigger thing now, I think it's a great opportunity to ask other local businesses or bigger businesses if they can even sponsor us, something like that. Or another idea would be to ask UMSL alumni, and if they want to see our groups getting boosted and they're interested in doing that, then that would be an awesome idea.
Thank you, Zach. This next question you will start off with, and you'll have 3 minutes to answer the following question. In the student activity budget committee meetings, you may need to make tough decisions about allocating limited resources. How do you plan to prioritize spending to ensure the most critical needs of the student body are met?
It's important for us when we're talking in our SABC meetings to make sure we're dispersing the money evenly as much as we can. We want to try and help as many of the student groups as possible. And since the groups are what keep UMSL a lively and enjoyable campus, I think that's a very important part of the school, and that's what we need to prioritize.
Thank you. All right, Grace, you'll now have 2 minutes to provide your response. I will repeat the question. So in the student activity budget committee meetings, you may need to make tough decisions about allocating limited resources. How do you plan to prioritize spending to ensure the most critical needs of the student body are met?
Thank you. Just to clarify once more, that is how do we navigate those difficult decisions of allocating funding? I would say that is not a difficult decision. When I am in an SGA assembly meeting and I have student organization officers coming up to me and telling me that they might have to disband because they don't understand student involvement procedures and policies, because they don't understand how to find SABC funding because there's no clear transparency, that is a difficult decision. To be quite honest and to be transparent with everyone here, a system that is rooted in fairness for funding and for opportunity for every student and student involvement, that is not a difficult thing to do. Being fair, looking at what we've got to work with, it's not difficult. When you are looking at events and how much money you have, we can't look at events as the whole. You have to look at the materials and you have to decide what needs to be there and what are the things on the side. And from there, you take those extras that are on the side and then you work with it. That's when you have those conversations. But we don't ignore student opportunities when we have student organizations that are telling us that they can't be a student organization anymore because there is no funding to back them. So all in all, fairness is not different.
Thank you, Grace. All right, so you will start off with this next question. You'll have 3 minutes to answer the following question. Accountability is essential when dealing with student funds. How will you ensure that student organization expenditures are justified and that the budget is being used responsibly and ethically?
Thank you, Rachel. Just a clarification, that is, focusing on accountability of responsible allocations. So accountability is everything. The first thing we need to implement for all student organizations is clear financial guidelines. We need to have a clear and comprehensive guideline and policy procedure for student organizations to follow when requesting and managing funds and ensuring transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct. And this includes discussing with them what happens with things like W-2s for reimbursement and taxes and what's included and what's not. I have looked at the videos and information given, and though it's informational, it is not informational enough, especially when we have so many new student leaders who have not done this before. We also need to hold ourselves accountable as people in positions like this. We need to have proper training and education procedures for student organization leaders on budget management, financial best practices, ethical considerations. And we, as a student government association, need to empower our student body to make informed and responsible financial decisions for their student organizations. So they know that that is a life skill that goes just beyond student government. It goes to the real world. Financial oversight is another thing, and we do a great job of it, but I do want to emphasize that we should start to require things such as dual signatures for large expenditures or conducting regular interviews of of financial records to prevent misuse or mismanagement of funding. And then this is something which might be a bit scary, but I believe that we should require SABC to provide transparent and detailed financial reports on their expenditures, their income and budget allocations, making this information readily available and accessible to the student body. And I'm not just talking about numbers, I'm talking about spreadsheets and audits that students can view. They should be able to see what the treasurer has done with the SABC committee, where that money is going, and what places are being overlooked or have not gotten enough attention. More than that, I am a firm believer that I have to hold myself accountable just as much as I hold other teammates accountable. So for this, as the chair of the SABC committee, I would enforce consequences for any violations of financial guidelines or unethical violations of financial guidelines or ethical behavior, and this could be things like withholding funding or imposing sanctions due to any sort of bias. So even though I may not necessarily be interested in a business expose, maybe I like political panels more, I won't be biased towards it. And then the last thing is we need to collaborate with our university administration. I know we do this, but we should be talking more with our financial services or the student affairs office to ensure compliance with university policies and procedures regarding financial management and accountability. I hold myself accountable first, and then I will help the students find their footing with SABC funding.
Thank you, Grace. Zach, you now have 2 minutes to share your response. Accountability is essential when dealing with student funds. How will you ensure that student organization expenditures are justified and that the budget is used responsibly and ethically?
As I got to see these committee meetings firsthand this year, I don't believe that this is anything that we really need to be worried about because of how much my committee discusses amongst each other. We ask many questions, making it nearly impossible to stay or to be accountable. So.
Thank you, Zach. All right, this next question is for you, and you'll have 3 minutes. Why is the Student Government Association at UMSL important to you, and why is it important to the campus?
SGA is important to me and to the school because we represent the voice of the students. If students have something that they need heard, we are there. We help them. We talk amongst our senators and through our senator meetings and even our Senate meetings where students can come in and list their problems or issues or thoughts. We help them spread the word and make it heard.
Thank you, Zach. All right, Grace, you now have 2 minutes to respond, and I will repeat the question. Why is the Student Government Association at UMSL important to you, And why is it important to the campus?
So when I came here last year as a freshman student, I was very eager to start getting involved here on campus. I thought, wow, this is a really great thing. Look at all the student involvement. But that was very ignorant of me because the answer to that is the fact that student involvement is very difficult to navigate. As I've said so many times, because it's the truth. SGA holds immense importance to me because it represents the opportunity to revitalize our campus community and reinvigorate student engagement. In recent years, it has been difficult, and I do give credit to the current executive board of SGA. It has been difficult to navigate and find footing, especially post-COVID, due to the hand they were dealt, to be completely honest. But it is time to have an interconnected student body. It is time for transparency, and it is time to reconnect student organizations with financial help. As a student leader who is deeply invested in the welfare of my peers and the students here at UMSL, I am determined to change the narrative that student involvement being low is our fault. And to ensure that SGA fulfills its crucial role as a source of support, guidance, and resources for all students. Having wishy-washy office hours is not enough. We need to be the backbone of student support. We need to be the ones that they can go to. And I see SGA as something that is a bit of a fixer-upper, but it is something that can be done. We have to be there for our students. And if we are, we will not only help their quality of life, but we will help this campus as a whole.
Thank you, Grace. It is now time for the last question. Grace, you will start, and you each will have 3 minutes to answer this one. All right, final question. Why should your fellow students trust you with the responsibility of managing the finances of Student Government Association? And what unique qualities or experiences do you bring to this role?
Thank you, Rachel. So for everyone listening, that question was essentially, why should I be trusted with being the treasurer of SGA? And my very simple answer to that is because I have already proved myself that I can advocate for student financial needs. Let's look at the historic vote that we did in Columbia, where I went head to head with President Choi of the system. Let's look at the $5,000 that we gave back to UMSL from taking away a free trip for people who are in positions of power. We stopped that, and I was a part of that. Being in a position like this, you cannot be afraid to get messy. Now, don't confuse messy with professionalism because those can go hand in hand. But you sometimes have to be the only person in a room who is standing up for the UMSL student body, for the UMSL faculty, and for UMSL funding. But it is my job as treasurer to make sure that somebody is speaking up. And I've done that time and time again. And more than that, I'm a listener. I love to listen and network with students to understand what their concerns are. If I'm just going about what I think is important or what maybe faculty are whispering to me, that's one side of the story. We need to make sure that all voices, all minority voices, are being taken into consideration. We can't have students feeling isolated anymore. We can't have minority student associations not able to do events that relate to their culture because they're afraid that they won't receive enough funding or they don't know how to fill that funding out. That's an issue. So why should you pick me? Because those are the things that I am going to fix, period.
Thank you, Grace. All right, Zach, you will have 3 minutes to respond to the last question. Why should your fellow students trust you with the responsibility of managing the finances of the Student Government Association? And what unique qualities or experiences do you bring to this role?
I think Alex, Max, and I did a fantastic job this year as this year's SGA slate. And some of the things that we accomplished, we had the scholarship website updated. All of the dead links were removed from that. We made it as easy as possible for you guys to navigate that. And there was also a scare with the Provo closing, and make sure that wasn't going to happen without another dining option being introduced on South Campus. And if you think this year went by well, that means we did a pretty good job, and that you should vote for us.
All All right. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are done. Just gonna wrap up. Y'all did great. I love that.
Thank you to our two candidates. Another round of applause. All right, that concludes our questions. Thank you to both our candidates for participating in the 2024 SGA Treasurer Debate. And thank you to all the students who came here to watch the debate today. The debate was recorded and it will be posted on the SGA website by the end of the week. As a reminder, please do your student duty by voting in the SGA election for the student who will represent you for the next upcoming year. Voting is open next week, starting Monday, April 22nd at 5 in the morning, and will run and be open until Friday, April 26th at 11:55 p.m. All right. And you can vote on Triton Connect. All right, thank you, everybody, and please stay tuned for the vice president debate starting at 12:45.